Have you ever heard of the Congo Free State? Sounds like a place of liberty, right? But the truth behind that name hides one of the most brutal stories in modern history. This is the tale of a king whose greed created a living hell, and a genocide that the world tried to forget. In the late 19th century, Europe was in a frenzy, carving up Africa like a giant cake. This was the scramble for Africa, but one monarch had an ambition far darker than the rest. He didn't want to just rule a colony. He wanted to own one as his private property. His name was King Leopold II of Belgium, and his actions would earn him a chilling title, the Butcher of the Congo. So how did one man manage to seize a territory 76 times larger than his own country and turn it into his personal slave plantation? It all started with a lie. A very big, very convincing lie. Leopold presented himself to the world as a great humanitarian. He organized grand conferences, speaking passionately about ending the slave trade in Central Africa, bringing civilization to its people, and opening the region to free trade for all. He created organizations with noble-sounding names, like the International African Association. He charmed explorers, politicians, and the public, all while hiding his true motive: profit. He wanted the Congo's immense wealth, particularly its rubber and ivory, and he was willing to do anything to get it. With masterful deception, he convinced the great powers of Europe and even the United States to recognize his claim. They believed they were supporting a philanthropic project. Instead, they handed over a vast swath of Central Africa, not to the nation of Belgium, but directly to Leopold himself. He named it the Congo Free State. It was a masterstroke of branding, but it was the opposite of the truth. There was nothing free about it. For the people of the Congo, this was the beginning of a nightmare. Once Leopold had control, his benevolent mask fell away. He established a private army, the Force Publique. This brutal militia was made up of European officers and African soldiers, often conscripted from other regions, or even taken as children. Their job was not to protect the people, but to enslave them. The world was experiencing an industrial boom, and one of the most valuable resources was rubber, needed for tires, hoses, and machinery. The Congo was rich with wild rubber vines. So, Leopold turned the entire state into a massive forced labor camp. Villagers were given impossible quotas for rubber collection. Men were forced deep into the unforgiving jungle for weeks at a time to tap the sticky, toxic sap from the vines. If they failed to meet their quotas, the punishment was swift and horrific. The Force Publique would descend upon their villages, inflicting unimaginable terror. Homes were burned, crops were destroyed, and families were shattered. Women and children were often held hostage in squalid conditions to force the men to work harder. Starvation and disease became rampant as people could no longer farm their own land. This system of terror led to one of the most infamous and gruesome practices of Leopold's regime. The European officers were concerned that their soldiers were wasting expensive ammunition by hunting animals instead of enforcing the quotas. So they issued a barbaric order: for every bullet fired, a soldier had to present a severed human hand as proof that it was used to kill a person. This led to a grotesque currency of human hands. Soldiers who shot animals would often cut off the hands of living people, including children, just to meet their tally. Photographs from this era, smuggled out by brave missionaries, show heartbreaking images: fathers staring at the severed hands and feet of their own children. Proof of a system where human life had less value than a single bullet. It was cruelty on an industrial scale, a systematic dehumanization designed to extract maximum profit. For years, Leopold managed to keep the full extent of this horror hidden. He controlled all information coming out of the Congo and ran a sophisticated propaganda campaign in Europe. But evil of this magnitude cannot be hidden forever. A few courageous individuals began to expose the truth. Missionaries like the Americans, William Shepard and John Harris, along with the British shipping clerk Edmund Dean Morrell, became the key figures in the world's first major international human rights campaign. Morrell was the first to piece together the puzzle. Working at the port of Antwerp, he noticed that ships arriving from the Congo were filled with rubber and ivory. Yet the ships returning carried only guns, ammunition, and soldiers. No trade goods, no payment. He realized this wasn't free trade, it was slavery. He began writing fiery articles, publishing pamphlets, and giving speeches. He was soon joined by others, like the British diplomat Roger Kitzman, who traveled to the Congo and wrote a damning official report confirming the atrocities. The movement gained momentum. Authors like Mark Twain and Arthur Conan Doyle lent their voices, writing scathing critiques of Leopold. Activists circulated photographs of the maimed victims, shocking the public conscience across Europe and America. The slogan "Red Rubber" was coined to describe the blood-soaked profits flowing from the Congo. The international pressure became immense, a tsunami of outrage that Leopold could no longer contain. Finally, in 1908, he was forced to relinquish his private empire. The Belgian government officially annexed the territory, renaming it the Belgian Congo. But by then, the damage was done. While exact figures are impossible to calculate, historians estimate that during Leopold's 23-year rule, the population of the Congo was slashed by as much as 50%. That could mean that over 10 million people died from murder, starvation, exhaustion, and disease. It remains one of the largest genocides in human history. And what happened to King Leopold II? He was never punished. He was never put on trial. In fact, he sold the Congo to the Belgian state for a massive sum, ensuring he died one of the richest men in Europe. In Belgium, he was celebrated for decades as the Builder King, praised for using the Congo's wealth to fund public works and beautiful buildings across Brussels. His statues stood proudly in public squares, a testament to a nation's willful amnesia. The horror he unleashed was simply swept under the rug, but history has a long memory. Today, the truth about King Leopold II is widely known. He is remembered not as a great builder or a benevolent ruler, but as a mass murderer, a monster driven by insatiable greed. His story is a chilling reminder of how easily evil can hide behind the language of progress and civilization. It warns us that the greatest atrocities are often not committed with loud declarations of hate, but quietly, in the pursuit of profit, justified by polite speeches and a world that chose to look away. The legacy of Leopold's rule still haunts the Democratic Republic of Congo today, contributing to decades of instability and conflict. It's a dark chapter of history we must never forget, a lesson written in the blood of millions. Thank you for watching. If you found this story important, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden corners of history. Sharing this video helps ensure that these stories are never forgotten. See you next time.